Well, fellas, we didn't get a vote, but we are in Orlando. Kickoff rules have now changed more toward the XFL style of kickoff rule, but also the hip drop tackle has now been outlawed. You know, we saw Tony Pollard in the playoffs 2 years ago, Mark Andrews this year in primetime football against the Cincinnati Bengals. Freddie T, you know, you played this game even more so than us when it was all about physicalities and the rules weren't this lenient when it came to that sort of play. How do you feel about the way the game is changing and where it's headed?
You know, RC, sometimes I try not to be stuck so much in the past. You know, I understand evolution. I understand the game changes, right? Even the time I played, you look back prior to when I played and you look at the game and say, damn, they were crazy out there. The game constantly evolves. You know, right now we look at it first when they tried to change the you can't hit the quarterback certain type of ways. You got this window. You can't hit the guys leading with your helmet. Players, we're so good. The athletes in the NFL are so good. They find a way. They adapt to the rules. They tend to start out and they hate them or dislike them extremely a lot, but they find a way to play within the confines of the rule, the whole safety approach. I like that approach, but sometimes you can try too much to make it too safe, and guys can not play as fast, and then more injuries come. When the first set of rules changed a couple years ago, they looked at the data and they said, why is it more injuries now than it had been previous to those rules? But the hip drop, that's gonna be tough. If you can't hip drop me as a runner, I'm just churning my knees. Ain't no way. I'm getting an extra 4 or 5 yards before the cavalry gets there and bring me down. So it's unfair to the defense. They've done a great job of making it the game that's in the offensive favor that helps the scoring and entertain the fans.
You remember the ice box on Little Giants? When they were just holding on to his jersey, dragging behind him?
Icebox
Who was
the
that?
girl.
Who was the boy? with
Tank
the,
or something.
Tank, whatever. Like the Little Giants, that's the Little Giants scene's about to happen because of Freddie T, a Derrick Henry. I understand, I say it first, I understand the safety. I understand the safety, I understand the head hits, I understand the quarterback's legs and all. Tom Brady, when he got hit by the safety on the second play. Like, I understand the safety side, but as a defensive player, now I'm moving 20 miles per hour sideways, you're moving 20 miles per hour the other way. When I grab your waist, or I can't grab your shoulders no more, Cowboy collar, horse collar, right? So now I grab your waist. What am I supposed to do? Not drop my body weight down? So now I'm supposed to what? Just hold on and sit there? It's not fair to the defenders. The hitting to the head, you can readjust your angles. And we've seen people start doing that for the safety. But just everything's going against the defense because people want all these damn points scored offensively. They want to say safety, but it's also going to take up the number of points scored, and that's what ultimately these rules are going to do.
What makes it hard for me is that these rule changes seem to be changing the game we fell in love with. The people of our generation and our era, which some would say were barbaric and cavemen, we played it a certain way. When the rules started to change about defenseless receivers and unnecessary roughness, and I was in Pittsburgh, it was a direct assault on the way I was able to have a job, right? It took away from how we were so effective, the intimidation factor, the physicality in which we could play with, and things have continued to move forward. Immediately when I heard about the hip drop tackle being outlawed, I thought, again, this is just another way to make playing defense, which is dang near impossible, even more difficult to do. And I still feel that way. I got an opportunity to talk to somebody that I respect more than most people who have ever been a part of this game, and they gave me this analogy, which I want to share. He said, back when I was growing up, your parents would, depending on what was wrong with you, they might smoke a cigarette and blow the smoke in your face because it was supposed to help in some ways. If a baby was teething and their gums were hurting, you have your grandfather rub brandy on his finger and rub it on your gums to make them feel better. Kids rode in the car and they just stood up in the back. Kids would be in the back of trucks, or they wouldn't have car seats, like all of these things. He said, but as we've gotten smarter, as we've gained more knowledge, we've decided and learned ways to be safer. He said the exact same thing is happening to football. And much like we have throughout history of this game, people have adjusted. When you couldn't clothesline anymore, people adjusted. When you couldn't hit a defenseless receiver in a certain place, people adjusted. When you couldn't tackle quarterbacks a certain way, people have adjusted. We will continue to adjust, but my thing is this. If we're going to say safety, 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 we can't also have the conversation about having 18 games now. And I think what the league can't do is talk out of both sides of its mouth. Don't continue to change the game that we all love so much in the name of player safety, but also ask these men to risk their lives one more time a year because the TV deals will go up.